Hit him. This is terrible. I need to go kill someone. I haven't killed someone.
Trying to focus.
I need to focus.
We're ready to go under.
Jack killed one! What is happening right now? It's a 74!
7, Heckled goes down also. Allie goes down, Rosie down, Kodiak down, Mad Hatter just kind of...
Get on Nick! Get on Nick!
Ryan here, they're taking a counter push with a couple players down from Ryan. Wheels goes down to 7.
He's right now at 9v6. Dauntless pushing out to go against them. There's right now Hockey getting one.
DJ, you gotta get ganged up on. Let's get this fight, let's get the fight, let's get the fight. You're medical.
You have no armor.
That they got from mid, and FS is gonna quickly turn on them.
A very quick game right now.
"32 teams, hundreds of new players, one champion team, 3 new maps." Hey everyone, Strag here. You might know me from my time in the BCL, my diss track, my outspoken opinions, and possibly my talk show videos with Jesse and Harvey. Today, I'm here to publicise some information. But before I do that, I need to put out a bit of a disclaimer. Firstly, I won't be naming names and naming teams in this video. It's my personal preference, for now, that everyone involved remains anonymous for their own welfare. However, if people care enough, or management is forced to take action, I'm sure what exactly has happened will be explained in distinct detail. Secondly, you don't have to believe everything I'm saying in this video. You might think I'm spewing absolute garbage, or you might think my sources are inaccurate and misinformed. You are entitled to this opinion, however, I personally believe my sources are 100% trustable, and regardless of whether you think this is true, or you even care, I would advise you to at least acknowledge what I'm trying to say. Finally, I'm not doing this for some kind of self-benefit. People might ask why I should care so much about what's happening, but I'm not really bothered. It's my belief in this situation that people need to know what's going on. They may already be aware of this information or even have suspected it, but don't let it be unsurprising. Let it be a catalyst to professionally question the staff of our league. I don't have much to gain. I might be blacklisted for this, but I want a bit of an uproar, and I want change. So let's start from the start. Battle of the Bridges was conceived months ago. The planning of this tournament took place with only 4 to 5 people maximum. All meetings were done at 11 to 12 PM EST, which disallowed any EU planning members to attend. Due to this, a lot of the planning committee were unaware of what went on, and then got told their opinion didn't matter when they found out. Once the planning was done, management were invited to meetings in order to approve anything to do with the tournament. Again, these meetings happened at 11 to 12 PM EST, meaning only one of the EU managers attended, and the rest realistically having no idea of what was going on. According to my sources, decisions were made rapidly, irrationally, and last second, with specific members of the committee making decisions for the entirety of the committee with a usual lack of overwhelming support. A particular example, remember, in the planning phase, is the committee's discretion on void maps. Despite a majority against, stubbornness from some members prevailed. This stubbornness translated into other actions once the tournament geared towards beginning. Ideas were polled that had already been shut down by management. False hope was given to the community in the rapid switch of decisions and rulings. Per my source, certain coordinators would pass things through the coordination team that gave them the power to ignore the people. They claimed ignorance of us, the general community, and that we didn't know what we were talking about. Instead, some decided that they knew what was best for the community, not the community themselves. Some would say that the coordinators' opinions matter more than the community. While it could be correct in some instances, this is unfair. The opinions of the likes of myself, Kezen, Amran, Jewel, Mo, Coco, and potentially hundreds of others were, in their eyes, unable to compare to their intellectual magnitude as coordinators. Now you might think that that isn't important, and you might be right, but this is an example of a superiority complex, and certain members of the coordination team using their powers to influence the tournament. However, this isn't the only example. The top 8 idea is something I was notoriously against. While I could explain my reasonings again, I don't think they would be enough to change your mind. However, maybe I can provide some further insight into the idea. The top 8 idea was introduced to ensure that all the top 8 teams progressed into the final stage of the tournament. This was to increase the competitive aspect of the finals while disadvantaging new teams. But what if I told you that Venice, Aceless, Final Spark, and what I believe their management thought were Cadence, were purposely placed in groups so they would be on either side of the bracket? If Venice, Aceless, Cadence, and Final Spark all won their groups, they won't play against each other until the final 4. This is because coordinators wanted the tournament to be competitive, and they wanted to make sure the finals were the best they could possibly be. Ignore whether it was fair for other teams. They wanted and knew that the way they were going to do it would mean only 4 teams had a realistic chance. This isn't speculation, we know this, but that's not all. They moved teams around after the groups had been created because they didn't want YouTubers to be eliminated so easily. There aren't too many YouTuber teams, so take your pick at which one was given unfair treatment. Many would argue that this is stupidly unfair because they didn't give this treatment to every team, but only one. A direct quote from my sources. Coordinators also didn't want to make this public because they knew the community would write about it, and they told me anyone who leaked it risked demotion. They also said they'd lie about it if they were asked. So what does this mean? This means we, the community, are at a crossroads. I can promise you that everything I've said so far is 100% accurate. The coordinators have stated that they are absolutely willing to lie through this, but suspicion is growing, and there's even more. Unfortunately, it's not only teams that are receiving unfair treatment. Coordinators targeted specific members of the community that weren't on well-known teams, blacklisting people for reasons that are quite obviously not justified, including sending an IRL. This blacklist was argued, and they didn't know how to argue it. They couldn't prove it was justified, but wouldn't remove it because of their personal distaste for the player. They would also joke about blacklisting well-known referees of the community for saying, "hold my apple," or something like that, which is stupidly unfair and shouldn't even be considered. One player's restrictions were made even harsher, even though he proved he was barely able to handle the original ones. Another was unable to do anything unless he recorded on his phone. For blacklists, one was blacklisted for posting a distorted IRL that was already public, and they wanted to blacklist another for saying "glaze my donut." Any and all scrutiny should be directed at some of the coordinators who have allowed such things to happen. If you want to learn more, please DM me, and I will provide you further details if you wish to campaign your right to a fair seeding and fair treatment as part of a team and a player. So, we reach a conclusion. I haven't got a script for this part, I'm just kind of talking what I think should happen next. In my opinion, what some of the coordinators have done is completely unfair, and certain players and teams have been treated incredibly poorly throughout the whole tournament. I think what should happen next is more people should be questioning the actions of the coordinators. I need more of you to help me to not tear down the BCL. It's a great league, but we need to acknowledge as a community, as the general public, that something has gone wrong in this process. Someone has allowed these things to happen when they shouldn't have happened. And maybe I'm not in a position to make change, but maybe some others on the staff team that are watching this can, and they have the power too. They have the power to question some of their other staff's actions, and whether I get blacklisted for this, for my bold accusations, which are correct, whether my sources are found out and demoted accordingly, I'm not sure, but I want as many people to hear this as possible, because this is so important, I think, for our community. And while I don't think this information I've laid out to you today surprises anyone, and I don't think it should, considering the BCL's history, but like I said, don't let it be unsurprising. Let it be a catalyst for you to question what's going on and to make noise about it. We need noise. We need people to know what's happening, because I can't just let this happen and just let it go by. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm out.